On the evening of September 28, 2016, a brutal murder occurred in Qingpei City, Yunnan Province, China, killing 19 people. The case caused shock nationwide. On September 29, 2016, the first person to discover the murder was Qingpei's sister. She knocked on her parents' door, but no one answered. She then discovered her parents lying on the ground, their bodies covered in cuts and a pool of blood in the middle of the house. After hearing Yang's sister's screams, the villagers arrived and discovered that 5 other families with 17 people had also died. Police investigated the crime scene and analyzed the injuries. Based on evidence at the scene, the perpetrator used knives and agricultural tools to commit brutal acts, attack and murder the victims. The victims all had many deep wounds on their bodies due to using sharp weapons and being stabbed multiple times in the back. Police analyzed 19 victims who were attacked with pickaxe tools in the same way of committing the crime. Among these were 2 bodies of a family that was murdered more brutally with many stab wounds. The house was ransacked and many valuables were robbed. Local police immediately established a specialized team to investigate the brutal murder case. People in the village believe that the case was caused by someone from outside the village attacking and robbing property. Chinese police localized subjects who have enmity with the victims. The police knew that Yang had just returned to visit his hometown, but after the incident, he was nowhere to be found. The police investigated all information about Yang and discovered that he had recently been in a lot of trouble, especially having a large debt to pay. Police put Qingpei on the suspect list. The police contacted Yang's wife. She was completely unaware that her husband had returned to his hometown on September 28th. Qingpei's wife said that her husband often gets off work at 7 or 8 p.m. and works more at night to earn more money. Previously, each time her husband gave her 1,500 yuan. However, in the 3 months before the incident, Qingpei only gave her 300 to 500 yuan without explaining the reason. She felt that her husband had been abnormal since 3 months before the incident, indifferent and alienated from his wife and children, often chat with other women on social networks, sometimes even secretly calling in the bathroom. The police arrested Qingpei. With clear and sharp arguments given by the police, Qingpei admitted that he was the murderer of all 19 people. Qingpei testified that in 2016, he asked his parents for money to buy a car to transport goods. Qingpei's parents thought he had the will to do business, so they used their savings to lend him money. But with his playful nature and gambling addiction, Yang mortgaged his car and borrowed another 19,000 yuan to gamble and lost everything. Qingpei returned to his hometown to visit his parents and said he was in debt and asked his parents for help paying the debt but was refused. In a fit of rage, he used a pickaxe to beat his parents to death. Fearing being discovered, Qingpei continued to kill 17 people living around the house to erase traces and then fled to Kunming City that night. Of the total 19 people murdered, 2 were Qingpei's parents. The rest were all relatives, including 3 members of the first uncle's family, 3 members of the second uncle's family, 6 members of the fourth uncle's family, 5 members of the fifth uncle's family. Among the 19 victims, 3 were over 60 years old. The oldest was 72 years old, 4 were under 10 years old, and the youngest was 3 years old. People shared that Yang's father's 6 brothers all lived on the hillside of the village. In court, Qingpei confessed and belatedly apologized to the entire family. Yang said that because of gambling, debt, interest from mother and child, and borrowing from gangsters, she was mentally pressured. In a state of financial distress, Qingpei's animalistic instincts emerged and took the lives of his parents and relatives. On July 28, 2017, the Intermediate People's Court of Qingpei City, Yunnan Province, sentenced Qingpei to death for intentional murder. Qingpei accepted the verdict and did not appeal.